All right, let's talk about something that every single development team has to deal with. How do you actually get your code into the cloud? Today, we're going to dig into why deploying straight from your laptop is basically a ticking time bomb, and how you can build a much safer, automated system using AWS CodePipeline.
So let me just ask you this straight up. You've built your feature, you've tested it on your machine, and production is just one little command away. Is hitting enter a smart shortcut, or are you about to light the fuse on a total disaster? To figure this out, we're going to follow the story of two engineers, Timothy and Margaret.
Okay, picture this. Our junior engineer, Timothy. His finger is literally hovering over the enter key, ready to push his code live. And then he hears this sharp command from his senior colleague, Margaret. Now, this might sound a bit dramatic, but in the world of software, this is a huge moment, and it's exactly where our story kicks off.
So let's really break down why Margaret slammed on the brakes. This isn't just a simple disagreement over style. No, this scenario points to a massive and super common risk in how we build software: the dangerous deployment.
Timothy, he's feeling pretty good about himself. The code looks great, it ran perfectly on his machine, and he's about to push it right to the cloud from his own terminal. To him, this is just the last step. The work is done, let's ship it, right? But what he doesn't see is the massive bigger picture.
And this shows you the fundamental disconnect. See, Timothy's looking at the world through his own little bubble. He's got admin rights, he ran the tests locally, so he thinks, I'm good to go. But Margaret, she knows the hidden and frankly terrifying reality. Having permissions doesn't stop you from deploying bugs. And that infamous phrase, "but it works on my machine," is maybe one of the most dangerous sentences in all of tech.
And that brings us to the real heart of the problem, what we're calling the local host liability. This isn't some small detail. It's a huge, fundamental flaw in the whole deployment process. So, Margaret lays out three huge risks for him. First up, environment drift. These are those tiny, sneaky differences between your laptop and the production server, like a slightly different Node.js version that can cause absolute chaos. Second, skip safeguards. When you're in a hurry, it's just so easy to forget to run all the tests. And third, and this might be the worst one of all, no audit trail. When you deploy from your machine, there's no central official record of what just changed. The rest of the team, they're completely in the dark.
So Timothy, finally realizing the danger he was in, asks the perfect question. This is really the pivot point of our whole story. If the human engineer isn't supposed to be the one pushing the button, then who or what is?
And the answer, my friends, introduces the real hero of this whole explainer: the automated CI/CD pipeline. This is the professional, grown-up way to release software safely and reliably.
This is Margaret's big paradigm-shifting idea. Just let that sink in for a second. The job of deployment is taken away from the individual person, and it becomes a managed, automated process that the cloud platform itself owns. This is a fundamental, game-changing shift in thinking.
The tool that makes all this possible in the AWS world is called CodePipeline. Think of it as an automated workflow, like a recipe, that moves your code from your repository to the live environment without a human touching it. The whole goal is to create a standard, repeatable process that makes sure every single release follows the exact same safe steps, every single time.
Okay, so that all sounds great in theory, but how does this automated machine actually work? Let's get into the nuts and bolts and break down the mechanics of a typical pipeline.
This whole automated release is basically a four-stage journey. It all kicks off with your source code, which then gets built and tested. After that, there can be an approval step, and only then is it finally deployed to the cloud. Let's walk through each stage one by one.
So, stage one. The whole thing kicks off the moment you do something you already do all day long, a git push. That's it. The pipeline is just sitting there, listening to your code repository. The second it sees a new commit, boom, it springs into action and pulls down your latest changes.
Next up, the build stage. This is where a service like AWS CodeBuild spins up a perfectly clean, brand new environment. It installs everything from scratch. And here's the crucial part. It runs all of your automated tests. If even a single tiny test fails, the entire process stops right there, dead in its tracks. Broken code doesn't even get a chance to move forward.
Now, for really critical stuff like production, you can add a super important human safeguard. The pipeline actually pauses and sends out a notification. A senior engineer can then take a look at the changes and has to physically click approve before anything goes live. It's the perfect mix of automation and smart human oversight.
And finally, we get to the deploy stage.
Once everything's been tested and approved, the pipeline hands the final package over to a service like AWS CloudFormation. It's CloudFormation, a machine, not a person, that safely figures out what needs to change and applies the update to your live infrastructure.
So, you go through all this work to set up a system like this. What's the ultimate payoff? Well, it creates something incredibly powerful, a single source of truth for your entire production environment.
This creates a whole new reality for your team. There are no more sneaky side-channel updates or quick hotfixes pushed from a developer's laptop. The new rule is simple. If a change isn't in your Git history, it isn't in production. Period. Full stop. The code repository becomes the one and only definitive record of what your infrastructure looks like.
And the benefits that come from this, they're absolutely transformational. For governance, it means you can now take away direct admin access from most of your engineers, which is a huge security win. Speaking of security, now the pipeline's specific role is the only thing allowed to change production. And for auditability, every single deployment is now logged, giving you this perfect, permanent record of who changed what and exactly when they did it.
And this quote from Timothy, this is that aha moment. It's the point where he finally gets it. The goal isn't just about automating a task. It's about fundamentally changing his relationship with production. He's not a hands-on operator anymore. He's an architect of the system that does the operating. And really, that's the true goal of a senior engineer, isn't it? It's not just about building features. It's about building safe, reliable, and automated systems. Timothy's journey ends with him removing himself, the human element of risk, from that critical path.
Which, of course, brings us to the final and most important question, the one you need to be asking yourself and your team. Timothy learned how to engineer the human risk out of his deployment process. Have you?